This is in a technical sense. In Buddhism, they analyze a consciousness as a perceptive consciousness, like a part of physiology. So they analyze, 5 consciousnesses for the 5 senses. There's consciousness of seeing, visual consciousness, auditory consciousness, and so on and so forth. And what each of those is, what that comes from, is technically more primal than the consciousness themselves. So consciousness is essentially a mental functioning or a personal functioning, but it exists in and arises from a ground which is absolutely impersonal and beyond consciousness. But that's unimportant, but that's only a technicality.
Of which you can experience?
Yeah, because that's only a technicality for purposes of analysis, because it's a continuity. Okay? There's no actual gap or wall between these layers. It's not like there's light and then consciousness of light and then the ground of consciousness of light and then the trend. There's no like moat between these different terrains where there's this section and then a moat. And it's a continuum. It's seeing the same thing it's analyzing it. So in other words, I can say, okay, there's light. Then I can say there's consciousness of light. But I'm not talking about something else. That's right here. That is the light, seeing it as the consciousness of the light. And the consciousness of the light arises from the radiance of the ground. And so in that place, the light is the consciousness of the light, is the radiance of the ground. And then the radiance of the ground exists within the transcendental ground, which is, beyond everything. You can't say anything about it whatsoever. But this is that. It's not like that is over there and this is here. So when you look at light, you're looking at that whole chain, because that chain is not made of separate links. It's just, each link is just a different way of describing or looking at or holding this whole phenomena. All this collapses. This is the absolute right here. It's not like there's a superficial layer of things and then a deeper layer and then a deeper layer and then a deeper layer and then you get to the absolute. That's only for, analytically it looks like that. Describing it looks like that. It's like you can describe this superficially, then you can describe it more profoundly, then you can describe it more profoundly. But it itself is always the same thing. It doesn't change when you describe it. See what I mean? So yeah, this is light, this is consciousness, this is ignorance, this is samsara, but this is the absolute. It's just different ways of looking at the same thing, different ways of analyzing the same thing. There's only one phenomena. But in terms of being with it, in terms of learning to be with it profoundly, it can feel like a kind of peeling layers of the onion. But the layers aren't actual layers, they're layers of your own understanding. So you be with something as profoundly as you're capable of being with it until you discover a more profound way, and then you can say, oh, I've moved from this to that, but there's no actual this or that. That's just pragmatically speaking in terms of your own subtlety of being able to be with it. But it itself is the same. It never transforms. Do you follow that?
Yes, and that just keeps happening.
Yeah. Yeah. But by all means, pursue that. Be with any aspect of experience, and then be with it more subtly, and not by abstracting it, but by be with it more presently, more detail, more refinement. It's not about going into your head or going into imagination. It's about the actual detail, the immediate, undeniable actuality of what is present. That's where the power is.
Peter, as you are describing the referring to the absolute or ground consciousness and the relative sense consciousnesses. It occurred to me, I just got a strong sense that the mind stuff would normally be thought of as a mental chatter, the discursive memories and just ongoing commentary of the ordinary thinking. From the perspective which you're speaking, that's not a problem. That's none other than just the activity of the bigger
Yes.
mind. And I
Yes.
brought that ever so slightly, but
Yes. All of this activity is the radiance of Sambhogakaya. All of it. Our ignorance, our stupidity, the mental chatter, our obsessiveness, our attachment to things, our misinterpretation, all of that is itself, describing it like that, is a misinterpretation of the primal radiance of Sambhogakaya, which is everything. That's the point. That's why it's called great perfection.
there's no fighting anymore.
Yeah, because everything is it. There's nothing that's not it. There's nothing that needs to be purified. There's nothing that needs to be removed. There's nothing that needs to be abstained from. There's nothing that's better, or for that matter, worse than anything else, because it's all actually the absolute.
That is such a relief. I mean,
Yeah, it's what a load off, eh? Thank God. Yeah, good, very good.
Thank you.
So the implication of that is being with any phenomena whatsoever is being with the Absolute. So be with your neuroses, be with your moodiness, be with, some horrible scene among stupid people, be with anything, and that is the Absolute. That is itself the direct radiance. Doesn't matter. Does not matter, does not matter, does not matter. And then everything whatsoever is the path, and everything whatsoever is the goal. And on that lovely note, I'm going to wish you all a good evening. You're welcome to stick around if you want. We'll be having some refreshments and some more